I'm sure a lot of Nigerians would probably also be thinking, that some of these things or these steps should have been taken before the, end of subsidy. The modular refineries and the Port Harcourt refinery and the rest that he's talking about probably should have been put in place first, but
cart before the horse.
Yeah. All right. In an effort to recognize all types of intimate partnerships, regardless of gender, sexual orientation, or religious, cultural, and other beliefs, South Africa is updating its marriage laws. The Department of Home Affairs has, of course, opened the floor for South Africans to voice their opinions on the new marriage bill. Discussions regarding the new bill have been ongoing for years, starting with the DHA conducting public consultations on the Green Paper on Marriages, which is, of course, a government policy discussion paper that covers specific issues.
At present, the country has 3 marriage acts: the Marriage Act, the Recognition of Customary Marriages Act, and the Civil Union Act. While the new bill promotes important constitutional values, some have raised concerns that it does not fully address the social and economic conditions in the country. Specifically, the bill fails to recognize polyandry and unmarried partnerships, which is significant given that other laws already recognize civil unions for same-sex couples. Joining us this morning to discuss this further is the Director at Center for Legal Integration in Africa at the University of Western Cape, Anthony Diala. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning.
Mr. Diala, what are your thoughts on the proposed changes to the marriage laws in South Africa?
Thank you very much. As I wrote in the conversation, my thoughts are that the bill does not go far enough to reflect changing socio-economic conditions in South Africa. South Africa's marriage laws are liberal. As you pointed out, they recognize gay unions, civil unions, and they also recognize customary law marriages, and to an extent, Muslim marriages. Now, these laws all give everyone the right to equality, the right to human dignity, and the right to freedom from discrimination. So they are liberal in that sense. For you now to bring a single piece of legislation to cover all aspects of marriages without recognizing unmarried partnerships is not enough. Similarly, if you are going to be liberal by recognizing same-sex unions, then you might also as well recognize women's ability or right to marry more than one man. So these are the major shortcomings that I see in the new marriage bill.
Yeah, but why? So can you help us understand why? You're talking if you can permit same-sex marriage, then of course you should be able to allow women to marry more than one man. Why? Is there a why to that? Mr. Diala.
I think the line was a little bit weak while you were speaking.
Well, I'm asking because you said, if South African law would permit same-sex marriage, then it might as well go ahead and permit women to marry more than one man. Talking polyandry now, and I'm asking why? Why do you think so?
Right. So because we are dealing with liberalism, so to what extent can you push? What extent can you push the law? To what extent should the law regulate people's conduct? If you are going to prohibit people from marrying each other when they are in adoptive relationships, when they are related by blood, and when they are maybe in a sort of relationship that is not recognized by the law, like cohabitation. If you don't recognize the rights of cohabiting couples, but then you recognize the rights of same-sex couples, you potentially infringe on the human dignity of people in those type of relationships. You also fail to recognize changing social conditions such as distance to workplaces, high rent, especially in the cities, children from previous marriages, and all sorts of new age beliefs that people have, that which may make them to cohabit without necessarily going through the formal processes of marriage. And there are proprietary consequences attached to all these, in that people who are cohabiting or in unmarried partnerships can suffer when one of the partners die and their rights, the rights of the surviving partner are not recognized under the law. The property rights, the right to maintenance, or to inherit the estate of the deceased spouse. So these are important issues that make it necessary for us to recognize in this new bill. If we are going to be liberal, then we might as well go all the way and be liberal enough to recognize.
Now, let's talk about what some might consider the strength of this bill. We do know that forced marriages is still a problem on the continent. Do you believe that the bill's proposed measures, such as preventing child marriages and requiring the consent of both parties, will be effective in reducing the number of forced marriages?
Yeah, that is a very positive aspect of the bill. I'm trying to tackle this question of child marriage or forced marriage in Africa, in South Africa specifically. Yeah, so the bill has quite extensive provisions on age of consent, 18 years, or the consent of maybe the minister or the parents of the couple who intend to marry. So its provisions in that respect will go quite a long way in curbing child marriage in South Africa.
Okay, well, I get the aspect, of consent and the age of consent and all of that. But, one thing you mentioned earlier was, limits. And so I want to ask, further, where then do we draw the line? Do we get to a stage where if people say, they might be cousins or, siblings, but they're in love and they want to get married? Does the whole idea of liberalization and, respecting, human rights, will that allow, a brother marry a sister in South Africa? Is there places that you also think that maybe we should, draw a line with this whole conversation?
To answer this question, I want you to understand one thing. Originally, the prohibition on people who are related by blood from marrying arose from concerns about genetic issues, health issues. What happens when people of the same blood produce a child? So sometimes there are health complications. But now we live in a liberal society in which same-sex couples can adopt children. So what stops people who are related by blood from marrying and adopting children? It's liberalism. We want anything to go. People are marching into courtrooms with animals, demanding to be recognized, or even computers, demanding that they be recognized as in a marriage-like relationship, that they are in a relationship with inanimate objects. So then why should we stop people who are related by blood from marrying? Let's allow
but do you find anything wrong with marrying an inanimate object?
Well, I don't know. That is going too far. Of course, I'm back to the question you asked about where to draw the line. Yeah, of course, we shouldn't really allow people to get married to inanimate objects.
But why? Why? Because aren't you, if I decide that I want to get married to, this phone, I've used it for 3 years, and we're in love, why should you infringe on my own rights to marry the phone?
Back to the question then, how far can liberalism go? That's the question.
Yeah, because the reason I'm asking is because initially it starts off as, let people, let love live, let people enjoy themselves, let people live their lives. And then you get to certain lines and then you start to realize that it might be going too far, actually. So, if I would allow for same-sex marriage, and you would allow for siblings, to get married, a brother and a sister, or maybe even two brothers to get married to each other, then why would you infringe on my own rights to marry my phone or my teacup?
Yeah, your phone or your teacup cannot give consent. That's why.
I know, but how about me?
They are not human. They are not human. They cannot give consent.
The reason I'm asking is, these conversations continue to develop. I'm sure that in 1960 or 1940, there weren't a lot of these type of conversations, but time has passed and things continue to develop. So at some point, do you think that in South Africa, someone's going to say, it doesn't matter if the phone cannot give consent? I mean, there could be AI technology that, they'll put in my phone and I ask the phone, do you love me? And it would say yes. So what if we get to that stage? Will I be allowed to marry my phone then?
Definitely. Will we get to that stage? We will definitely get there. Okay. I mean, it's natural. You can see how these things have developed since the end of apartheid, all the law reforms that have been carried out in South Africa. So you can see liberalism progressively advancing. So we get there eventually, and then we shall have these debates. Wow. Yeah.
I'd also like to, find out what the people of South Africa are saying. Is this the belief, the position that you hold? Is that the belief and the position that the majority of Southern Africans are holding in this time?
No, definitely, it's not the majority belief. Majority of people in South Africa are still conservative. They are so conservative that when the Department of Home Affairs floated the idea of polyandry, allowing women to marry more than one, there were quite bitter oppositions from religious circles, from traditional circles, etc. So yeah, majority of the population, they are conservative. But I'm just telling you what history what will eventually happen. I'm predicting it. So let's save ourselves time. Instead of amending this marriage bill some years down the line, we might as well include these things because they will happen, they will come. The clamor, the demand will come. Someone will go to court, the Constitutional Court will invalidate the bill and strike it down. So why waste time? Put it now.
Okay.
All right.
I also want to get your thoughts on the issues with the anti or the seeming anti-LGBTQ, anti-gay laws in Uganda. I'm sure you must have heard that story. Of course, became popular again with the statement by the World Bank yesterday, I believe. So let's get your thoughts on Yoweri Museveni and his anti-gay laws in Uganda.
Well, the Ugandan people are very conservative, just like Nigerians and just like many parts of South Africa. Now, the thing is this. The European colonizers, specifically the British, when they brought Christianity to this part of the world and to Uganda, they taught the people that homosexualism is unbiblical, that it's evil, etc. The Ugandans accepted. And then several years down the line, the Europeans came back again saying that, oh no, you must accept and recognize these rights, these gay unions, homosexualism, etc. And the Ugandans are resisting. Don't they have the right to resist? I mean, it's like infantilizing someone, treating someone like an infant to tell them, oh, don't do this. And then later on, okay, you may now do this. And then try to force them to do that.
I agree. Yeah, Mr. Diala, I totally agree. And I would hope that, in South Africa, they also would, give space for people who do not agree with polyandry and who do not agree with same-sex marriage, who do not agree with, gay, marriage and all of that. To also disagree. I hope that space will also be created for those who do not agree, as long as, of course, it's not infringing on anybody's rights. But I enjoyed this conversation. We hope we can speak with you again. Have a great weekend ahead.
Thank you very much. You too.